contract was for the purchase of a cyber defense system software at a price of $7 million United States of American dollars. Let us call this contract the GOG ISC contract. On February 6, 2020, Mr. Dubois then transferred an initial amount of 27,100,000 Ghana cedis, that is from the National BNC's operations account at Fidelity Bank to the private BNC account at UMB. Official documentation on the transfer revealed that the amount was for the payment of cyber defense system software, which the National BNC was buying from ISC Holdings in Israel. Mr. Dubois, in effect, transferred the money from the National BNC to his private company, the private BNC. A review of the transactions on the bank accounts reveals that once the funds from the National BNC landed in the account of his private BNC at UMB Bank, Mr. Dubois caused his private BNC to transfer an amount of 9,537,520 Ghana cedis to ISC Holdings in Israel. By the exchange rate at the time, this amount was the Ghana cedi equivalent of 1,750,000 United States of American dollars. To justify or facilitate the transfer of the 9.5 million and the 9.5 million, Mr. Dubois fraudulently attached a copy of the Government of Ghana ISC contract as well as an invoice, which he held out as an invoice issued by ISC Holdings Limited or in respect of the Government of Ghana ISC contract. On March 18, 2020 and March 30, 2020 respectively, he again transferred 21 million Ghana cedis from the National BNC Director's account at Fidelity Bank to the same private BNC account at UMB. The narration of the transaction indicated that it was for the payment of the cyber defense systems that the National BNC was buying. The transfer from the National BNC's account brought the total transfers that he made to his private BNC to 49 million Ghana cedis. By the exchange rate at the time, this amount was exactly the Ghana cedi equivalent of 7 million United States of American dollars. The exact full amount which he quoted as the price at which ISC Holdings sold the cyber defense equipment to Government of Ghana. All the payments transferred to the invoice, a number from ISC Holdings, all the payments reference the invoice number from ISC Holdings to the National BNC. Importantly, after the initial transfer of the 9.5 million Ghana cedis, which was the equivalent of 1.750 United States of American dollars from the private BNC to ISC Holdings, no further payments were made to ISC Holdings. A review of the transactions on the private BNC account reveals that after the payment of the 1,750,000, Mr. Dubois and his wife began applying the rest of the funds for their personal use, making transfers to local third parties, personal investment, as well as transfers to unknown persons. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen of the media, we have all the account details, we have all the receipts, and any person who took money from Mr. Dubois from that account, we know. Now, our investigation, which was conducted by EOCO, as I've indicated, has established that the ultimate beneficial, in essence, the difference between 49 million Ghana cedis being the money Mr. Dubois transferred from the bank account of the National BNC to his private BNC, and 9.5 million being the money he actually paid to the ISC Holdings for the software ended up with him and his wife. That is to say that the sum of 39,462,480 Ghana cedis of taxpayers' money went into their private pocket. The investigation has revealed that the ultimate beneficial owner of BNC Communications Limited is another company known as Advantage Solutions Limited. 10 other companies are through a very complex web of shareholding and directorship connected to Mr. Dubois and his wife, Angela. Investigations have also established that monies, mostly proceeds of crime, from the Advantage Solutions Limited and BNC Communications Bureau Limited and other similar sources have been transmitted under very suspicious circumstances through the bank accounts of these companies. The investigations have revealed so far that the suspect and his wife have registered companies which we are currently tracking. We are tracking all the companies. There are about 10, of them that they created with Advantage Solutions mostly owning all the companies. For purposes of the investigation that is ongoing, we are not going to disclose those companies, but I want to warn any executive, director, or employee of each of the companies who, knowing that Mr. Dubois has been arrested, if they make movement of assets, we will track and arrest them and prosecute them. So they are all warned. All banks are also warned that if we see any wire transfers or cash withdrawals on any of the accounts belonging to Mr. Dubois and his companies, the bank managers and all their employees who are involved in those transfers will equally be arrested. After this press conference, no activity, and we are monitoring all their bank accounts from the Financial Intelligence Center. With the press of a button, we can see the movement of money, on any of the accounts. So we are monitoring that very, very closely. We know, for instance, that the 3 banks that they have been dealing with, in substantial financial transactions are UMB, Fidelity Bank, and Stanbic Bank. So we are monitoring them keenly. And the managers of this bank, if they are listening to me, should be careful about what they do on any account connected to Mr. Dubois and his wife and their companies. The investigations also established that the proceeds from the suspect's activities were used to buy significant landed properties and other assets of considerable value both in Ghana and elsewhere. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the press, my fellow countrymen and women, I want to give you a sample of what we have discovered so far. We have tracked most of the assets. So the properties that are in their names, their joint names, or sometimes in their in their individual names, are as follows. We have number 2 Stream Park Drive, Mayfair Estates, LA, that is La Accra. For that, they deposited, and we have the deposit slip as well as the receipt from the estate developer, $1 million United States of American dollars. Number 6, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estates, La Accra. Deposit 500,000 United States of America. That's American dollars. That's the initial deposit. All right. Then we have number 7, Edith Avenue, Mayfair, 100 of American dollars deposited for the property. Number 8, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estates, La Accra, 97,815 United States of American dollars was deposited for that property. But we are sure that other cash payments were made to complete the purchase and then the transfer of ownership. So we are tracing all those documents. Number 9, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estate, 270,000 United States of American dollars deposited, initial deposit for the purchase. Number 10, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estates, Accra, 150,000 United States of American dollars deposited. Now he also owns a company known as Vertex Properties, and we've traced the proceeds of crime to Vertex Properties also. They have, Vertex Properties owns 27 houses located at Oyarefa. Each house costs, an estimated cost of $295,000 United States of American dollars. We also know that they have 2 properties in London that we are tracking, and I'm going to trigger the mutual legal assistance between the United Kingdom and Ghana for us to be able to lay hands on those properties. Now, we also know we've been following the bank transactions very closely, and we know that on February 11, 2020, they made a 16 million fixed deposit from the payment received from BNC Security. This was from the initial payment of 27,100,000 Ghana cedis. On April 3rd, 2020, Mr. Dubois alone withdrew 7,250,000 Ghana cedis, okay, in cash. He withdrew that in cash. This payment came out of the second transfer of the 21 million from BNC National Security to BNC, his private company. On April 24th, 2020, 1.5 million cash withdrawal was made. On the same day, he made payments to a real estate company to the tune of 1,566,000. So you see of the transactions that were taking place. Then February to September, out of the 49 million, which was transferred from BNC National Security to his private BNC, about 99% was withdrawn by him personally. And they were largely very large cash withdrawals. And we believe that those were the withdrawals that were made for him to make the deposit for the properties that are enumerated above. Now, we are still tracking suspect Edu Bohin and his assets, and then, of course, his wife. But we'll conclude in the next few days and file charges against him and the other suspects. So they are currently in detention. We had given them bail conditions from EOCO, he and his wife and the other suspect. Now, the reason I'm not mentioning the other suspects is that for purposes of our strategy, and if they are listening to me, they should take this very seriously, the other suspects. For purposes of our investigation and prosecution, okay, we may have to use some of them as prosecution witnesses. If they give us the offer, fine. If they don't want to cooperate with this evidence, I don't see how they and the suspect will get out of, being convicted. But of course, they will have to be, their guilt will have to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. So I'm not being presumptuous, but we have all the evidence from what you can see from the enumeration that we have all the evidence, including receipts of payments and withdrawals, slips and so on. So this is for suspect Edu Bohin and his wife. Now, I want to say something briefly about the oral investigations. Now, in respect of oral, significant work is going on in relation to the investigations of the allegations of looting of state resources contained in the oral report submitted to me a few weeks ago. In view of the fact that these matters are still under investigation, I will not go into the details as I have done with the case of Edu Bohin. But I can confirm that investigations will conclude in the National Service and SkyTrain scandals by the middle of April for prosecutions to begin. In the National Service scandal, 8 suspects have been interrogated, and a good number of them have started singing. They are cooperating with our they've started singing, literally. Yeah? So we will give you details of their songs at the appropriate time. In view of the fact that so indeed, we now have evidence of payments that were made into the accounts of the top executives of the National Service by vendors, private vendors, and staff of the scheme. We also have evidence that in November 2024, and listen to this carefully, the CEO of the National Service Scheme and others paid a Ghanaian MP to kill the story in the media and to defend them. Now, this is a developing story, and more will come out very soon. In respect of SkyTrain, we can confirm that the $2 million was paid at the request of the chairman of the board of directors of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, that is GIIF, Prof. Ameya Ekumfi, and then and then the CEO, Mr. Solomon Asamoah, who is currently hiding in Senegal. We tracked him first and noticed that he was in South Africa. So he left Ghana somewhere around February 2nd, the 2nd of February, to South Africa. So we were monitoring him in South Africa. And then he left South Africa and is now in Senegal. When we contacted him, he told us that he will not come to Ghana until I think he didn't say April, 3 months from now. Okay, so he's giving us 3 months to come to Ghana, very much like Ken Oforiatta, right? It reminds me of Ken Oforiatta. So he says he will come to Ghana in 3 months. So we are patiently waiting for him. If he wants to be tried in absentia, that is his choice to make. But we have the prosecutorial authority to prosecute him in absentia. And of course, the person who acted with him to transfer that money, the Prof. Ameya Ekumfi, is in the country. So if there is going to be delay, we'll start the prosecution with him being a suspect who is being tried in absentia. So on the SkyTrain, we noticed that there was no board approval for a transaction, and the conditions precedent to disbursement had not been met. The other board members and our review of the minutes of the board of directors have confirmed this fact. So we requested for all the minutes, of the board of directors within the period that this transaction occurred. And our perusal of the minutes show quite clearly that there was no board approval. Also, the interrogation has revealed, that the other board members said that they did not have knowledge of this transaction. In fact, there was one of the minutes where one of the members questioned why the GIF was in a hurry to make payment for this transaction. And no, answer of any significance was given to him by the two persons who, schemed and transferred $2 million of taxpayers' money to a Mauritius company. In fact, we tracked the company to Mauritius, and a lawyer in Mauritius has confirmed to us that it is non-existent. But that's also, a developing story. Now, the money, you see, if you are buying shares in a company, okay, you are buying shares in a company, that's your equity contribution to that company. The money is supposed to be paid into the share account, the shares account of that company. But the money was given to Africa Investment Holdings, okay? And when, it was paid, we noticed that Africa Investment Holdings was paid 100,000 United States of American dollars as the GIF's contribution to equity. And then listen to this, 1.9 million was paid to Africa Investment Holdings as share premium. Now, when you are paying for share premium, for those of you who are accountants and lawyers, well-versed in corporate law, share premium is not paid for nothing. It is paid for the performance of the company or the growth of the company and so on and so forth. So the company must have a certain track record, okay? But maybe they know something that I do not know, and in the course of investigation, we may know why. Maybe there is some other principle for paying a share premium, to a company, an SPV that you just incorporated, all right? And I believe that the accountants will confirm that with share premium, it's easy for the directors to take the money than when it is the share, when the money is in the actual share account. So it can tell you that this was done with some criminal enterprise, in mind. But again, I'm not prejudging anything. If we come across evidence, okay, that shows that they are innocent, I will not go to court. I told this country that I will not take anybody to court unless I am convinced that there is evidence to prove the guilt of the person beyond reasonable doubt. And as I've laid out, you can tell from what we have done. And I must thank the Economic and Organized Crime Office, the director, and especially the deputy director in charge of operations, Raymond Archer. He led the operations. And on a weekly basis, we met, got briefings, himself, myself, and my deputy, and the team. We got briefings. We didn't talk about it. So I want to let you people know that when I'm investigating something, I will not give media interviews. Okay? Because when you grant media interviews on investigations that are unfolding, all right, unless you have grasped the evidence like I now have on SkyTrain and SkyTrain and then the National Service Scheme. Okay, those significant progress has been made, and I believe that if I took those cases to court, I will obtain a conviction. That is why I'm telling you about them. But free Wi-Fi, okay, and the rest of them are still under investigation. So we are not going to be talking about them. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic, observed that the entire country was a crime scene, he knew what he was talking about. Some people bashed him for it, but the President knows because I brief him on a constant and a regular basis on what is happening with respect to our investigations. We are working diligently on several dossiers that will shock the conscience of the nation. If what suspect Edu Boahen and his wife has done is like a thriller in Manila, please brace yourself for a rumble in the jungle in the next few weeks. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
So the Attorney General will now field questions from journalists present and media representatives. In order that we have an orderly framework within which to work with. If you have any question, please put up your hand. I'll call you, and then you step up to ask. We will take 5 questions at a time, 2 rounds of 5 questions. So please step forward if you have a question. There's a microphone behind you, please.
Thank you very much. Honorable Attorney General, my name is Darrell Alantego from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. In not too distant weeks gone, the Deputy Attorney General answered a question, and it appears to me that the AG is under a certain pressure to go to court on some of the cases you have gathered so far, either from oral or from the National Service. Is it the case that you're under pressure?
All right, 1 question per journalist, please.
My name is Kweku Asante from Joy FM and Joy News. This one on Mr. Dubois and the wife and the other suspect. You talked about some bail conditions. We want to know specifically, are they still in detention? Have they met those bail conditions and all that? And if you can briefly provide some update on what has been referred in some sections of the media as a raid on the former Bank of Ghana's governor's residence, and what led to that. We understand your office did authorize that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Ejon Amengsa. I report for FMNewsOnline.com. Flowing from what Joy has said, it seems the minority is not too happy with the situation regarding what is going on today. As of this morning, they also addressed the media, accusing the national security even of stealing, allegedly, from the former governor's house. And may I know, are you doing something unconstitutional regarding investigation and invading houses of former appointees?
Good morning. My name is Mawina with TV3. With respect to Mr. Dubois, you mentioned accounts belonging to him and other companies. I want to find out if there's been you've officially applied for freezing orders to those banks to ensure that the coffers are not emptied, even though you've served a warning. And secondly, the Deputy Attorney General has mentioned, amongst many other things, that some members of Parliament are seeking to abuse immunity offered them while making defamatory comments in the presence of Parliament, and suggested there was going to be a cure of some form for it. What is that cure, if we may ask?
All right, thank you very much. So they
campaign seriously on the issue of accountability. Ghanaians bought into that campaign and other issues that we addressed during the campaign, and that is why they voted for us to hold those who have abused public office accountable. So yes, I'm under pressure, but I'm under pressure not from political quarters, but from ordinary Ghanaians. Despite my busy schedule, I find time to go to social media, and I see what Ghanaians want us to do. They are in a hurry to know what we are doing about holding people who have looted state resources accountable. Yes, sometimes you may have some of your colleagues saying that things are not going as quickly as we wanted. But I have said that I will not rush to court on any matter. I will not. And the president knows that, and he accepts that. So yes, the pressure is coming, but you see, it was under that pressure that together with EOCO, we investigated Dubois. You see how diligent the work has been. You see the evidence we have laid out. Okay, if you're under pressure, you go to court, and then you now come back to look for evidence, like some other attorney general did in the past, and subsequently was calling a witness to help the witness help him, make out his case. All right, so I won't do that at all. I would, if I don't have the kind of evidence that I have on Dubois, I will not go to court. So yes, the pressure is there, but I'm soaking in the pressure together with my Deputy Attorney General and some of the staff. We are soaking in the pressure. Now, with respect to the bail conditions, yes, we gave them bail conditions. I think all in all it's about 160 million. Yes, about 160 million Ghana cedis bail with sureties to be justified. So they brought some properties belonging to some of their friends and family. We are verifying the titles of those properties and to see if we will accept them in order to grant the bail. Now, with respect to Dubois, I got a briefing last night, and I'm thinking that he should continue to stay in detention. If we are granting the wife and the other suspects bail, he should continue to stay in detention because of what has come to my knowledge. So I have advised EOCO to vary the bail terms or release him and rearrest him. And then we will now go to court in order to meet the 48-hour constitutional threshold, maybe likely today. On the rates, on so-called rates, you see, the MPP is a unique group of individuals. In 2017, they were arresting, that's what they said. They were arresting former appointees. Okay? So I told you here that policemen came to my house with guns. If that is not okay. Sorry, the bail amount is 260 million, not 160. So he just DAG just came to correct me on that. It's 260 million. So they came to my house in July of 2017 with guns. I didn't call a press conference to say that this was a raid. They showed me a warrant that they were conducting investigations into a transaction in respect of which I had written a legal opinion. That is a married deal. And they came to my house, okay, with guns. Did anyone, can you go back to the internet to check if I said that this was a raid on my house? So how come that a search of the governor's house, based upon credible intelligence that we received, and I was the one who applied for the warrants and got them issued by the High Court for the searches to be conducted? Why is that a raid? Are some people now above the law that we cannot conduct a legally sanctioned, search, constitutionally sanctioned test, a search in their houses? Maybe they are above the law. Okay, but no one is above the law in this country. We are all subject to the Constitution. And in terms of the Constitution, under Article 18, all right, there are limits to what you can do by saying that you cannot, your house should not be searched. So we obtain warrants, and if the media wants, I can make those warrants available. Okay, so there was no raid on his house, and there was nothing illegal or unconstitutional about what we did. But they are deciding to bastardize me and to bastardize the operatives of the national security by even saying that during the raid, which for me wasn't a raid, it was a constitutionally sanctioned search, they stole 10,000 Ghana cedis. All right? Now, what an insult. Okay? And that is what my Deputy Attorney General was referring to when he said that, the constitutional immunity granted to MPs does not mean that they should abuse that immunity and then, defame individuals or officials who are conducting normal business, normal public business. All right? And ladies and gentlemen of the media, let me tell you, we have a recording of Addison and what he said about the raid. So if Afenyo Markin, the honorable minority leader, is daring me, we'll make that recording available. So he should desist from maligning law enforcement officers and myself for the work that we are doing. He should also take cognizance of the fact that I am the leader of the bar, and I will act in the best interest of the ethics of the profession. Everyone at the bar knows me for that. So I won't do anything unethical, and I have advised both EOCO and National Security about staying within the bounds of the law in conducting investigations. So he should not abuse his parliamentary immunity by libeling or defaming public officials who are conducting normal, legally sanctioned public business. Now, with respect to freezing orders, we are notifying all the banks today. You see, the gentleman who asked about the freezing orders, note that because of the way this gentleman, the suspect, is very highly networked, if a letter had gone out before today to any bank, there would have been swift movement of money, and there would have been other suspects would have been alerted to the fact that we are investigating them. So yes, we obtained all the accounts. For purposes of our investigation, officially, and for purposes of prosecution, we will now obtain what we are taking to court by writing to each of the banks to give us that for our prosecution. Is there any question that I have not answered?
All right, so if there are any more questions, this will be the opportunity. Please step forward. 5 more, please.
I haven't had breakfast yet.
Yes. In the interest of probity and accountability, you may have to sacrifice your breakfast and lunch as well.
No. Yes. I'm just kidding.
Hello, good morning. My name is Michael Maugbe. I report for Sena Radio Online. Honorable Minister, you mentioned that suspect Edubuahin and the wife have acquired several properties. I want to know what steps are being taken to avoid a possibility of suspect and the wife disposing all those properties in order to disrupt evidence gathering. Thank you.
My name is Kwesi Kumsen, editor of Punch Africa. AG, I would like to know if suspect Edubuahin, if your outfit is able to retrieve the money he has stolen, allegedly stolen. Okay. Will you still prosecute him? Okay. Or incarcerate him?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Justice Adoboy. I work for the Shunwa News Agency. Yes, there's always been this issue about, it's okay. There's always been this issue about confidentiality concerning national security spending, and people have, asked for more transparency in national security spending. And in your investigation so far, have you been able to identify, some of the loopholes that these suspects may have exploited to grab state money like that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Mutala Inusa. I work with EIB Network, GH1 TV, and Star FM. Honorable Neo, in you answering one of the questions, you did indicate that, in fact, you touched on Dr. Ernest Addison's search. One of the issues that came to the fore was the fact that CCTV cameras in the home were destroyed by the men who visited the house. Can you give us some clarity? Was that what actually happened? And number two, on Edubuahin, you did indicate that you have ordered that he be released and rearrested in the hope of getting him remanded. Is it certain that when he's taken to court, he'll be remanded as you want happen? Thank you.
You again.
Two. So just briefly on his last question with respect to the search, there have been conversations in the media about the former BOG boss having backdoor CCTV footages, which has been the subject of quite a conversation. You've provided some details with respect to the alleged or purported raid. Can that be clarified as well with respect to what really transpired? And then you mentioned the former finance minister. At the last press briefing you held, you said you were going to have a conversation with the OSP with regards that investigation. Have you had that conversation? And I don't want to say, have you given the green lights because of independence and all of that, but what did the conversation also arrive at?
Good morning, Honorable Minister. My name is Nana Poku for Daily Searchlight. You agree with me that white-collar crimes are very difficult to prove, and sometimes it takes such a long time, very long haul. And sometimes the steam of the case people just forget about them. You are aware that some cases are still pending over 5, 6, 7 years. What is the dispatch that you are going to apply to make sure that these people will face justice and justice will be done?
Okay, thank you very much. On the first one, regarding steps being taken to prevent the suspect and the wife from disposing of assets, one of them is the fact that we've detained them. We've seized their phones. They are not, in communication with the outside world. This is the first time there were some people who knew, and there were reports of the arrest. Very few people knew what the arrest was about. In fact, some people called me and thought it was in relation to the issue regarding the Emirates ladies. I mean, the country manager of Emirates, but that isn't it. So we are detaining them because we want to prevent a situation where they will tamper with evidence. But as I've said, apart from the other companies that we are and other transactions that we are investigating, okay, we have substantial evidence to be able to prosecute even with, in respect of the BNC transactions. All right, so we will take all kinds of steps. Now, if we go to court, we'll ask for freezing orders, both for tangible and intangible property. I have already warned banks not to move any money in any account associated with any of the companies that they know, okay, are related or owned by Edubohe and his wife. So we will we will follow with official actions again, seeking to ensure that we preserve the assets, for purposes of the prosecution. Now, the question with respect to whether if we recover, we will proceed to prosecute. Now, in the best of two worlds for any prosecutor is to be able to convict and jail, and then also to recover the proceeds of crime. That's the best scenario. We have a plea bargaining regime in this country. If suspect Edubohe and his wife and the other suspects that we are investigating indicate that they want to enter into plea bargains, return all the assets and the houses and so on to the Republic, refund all the monies, okay, and then even the profits from the proceeds of crime to us. Okay, two things can happen. One is we get him a reduced sentence, so he stays for a shorter period in jail than would have been, because he's looking at a maximum of 25 years in jail. He was born in 1981. All right, he's about 44 years old. The wife is 34. She was born in 85, or no, 82 or thereabout. So she's 34. So you can imagine doing 34 plus 25 if they get the maximum. Okay, so she will come out at an advanced age of 59. She'll be 59 by the time she comes out of jail. All right. So if they want to cut a deal and return all the proceeds, we are willing to let them go. All right. Go to jail for a reduced sentence, or for the best scenario for them is for them to walk and return all the proceeds. All right. So I'm open-minded when it comes to these issues. So if they want to do a plea bargain, they should make an offer through their lawyers. Immediately I file charges, they should make an offer through their lawyers, and I'll be willing to look at it, because that is the essence of the plea bargaining regime under the under Act 30 as amended. Now, the question of confidentiality and national security. You see, the reason why national security expenditures are kept confidential are many. But one is that if, for instance, you are conducting surveillance and you want to give somebody money, okay, to conduct surveillance on a Saturday, do you want to go to the bank and do a check in the name of national security and give it to the person that should go and then cash the check and conduct the surveillance? Also, if expenditures are overexposed, investigations will also be equally overexposed. All right, that is one of the other reasons why national security expenditures are done confidentially. So, for instance, I don't know whether you have ever seen the Parliamentary Committee on Interior or Finance or the Public Accounts Committee grilling national security publicly. Have you ever seen that? Because the tradition all over the world is that their expenses, are done, confidentially. All right. And if briefings are to be given to, let's say, the finance minister or the person in charge of our, treasury, they have to also be done, confidentially. And so I support that. The few rogue elements, like suspect Edubohe, should not, let us, breach national security protocols and laws by exposing their expenditures. So I will still maintain that all expenditures of national security should remain confidential. Now, regarding the CCTV cameras that were taken, the cameras were actually not taken. It was the hard drive of the CCTV. And every investigator knows that the hard drive is what stores, it is the memory, it is the brain box of the CCTV camera. The camera is a mechanism for transmitting images or getting the images. But when it obtains the images, they are then stored in the hard drive. And it was a hard drive that we took, or the national security, operatives who went to his house took. That is standard. It's standard in any investigation. All right. So, for instance, if the intelligence record was with respect to some items, of significance in his house, all right. If there was a movement of those items, the only way by which we will get to know is by reviewing the memory of the CCTV system, and that is contained in the hard drive. So that is what we took. So those who are saying that we went and took CCTV cameras, are mistaken, and they are being mischievous in whatever they are doing with that information. I think there was another question by the same person regarding rearrest. Okay, so the question was whether when we rearrest, am I sure that the court will remand him? Now, that is a burden on me when I make the application to the court to show quite clearly that he's a flight risk. Now, all of you and my fellow countrymen and women listening and watching to me, from all the details that I have given with respect to the plans that he made to escape surveillance, if you want, such a person to be roaming on the streets, okay, whilst investigations are going on, then you run the risk of him escaping. And I told you that Mr. Samoa, the CEO of GIF, is playing hide and seek with us. I'm sure from Senegal he'll go somewhere else. And usually what they do is that they'll go to a country where they know that we don't have an extradition treaty with. Okay, so I can request that they be extradited, to stand trial. But we are monitoring him, and I'm sure one day we'll get him. He will arrive in this country, either voluntarily or involuntarily. Now, OSP and then Honorable Ken Oforiata, I have not yet had that conversation with OSP. So when I have that conversation, I will give you the details. Then also, someone asked about backdoor CCTV issues. If you can clarify the question, I think I've forgotten exactly what it was about. Yeah, what? Yes. About the fact that he had a CC. No, that from a technical standpoint, I cannot, confirm that fact. All right. I haven't held any conversations with national security on that specific issue, and I'll not there, answer a question on that. And then the last one was white collar crime and the burden of proof. You will note from everything that we have done, this is, your prototypical white collar crime. Okay? Now, non-white collar crime is stealing a goat or cassava to feed your family. But those who wear ties, like myself, and then they sit in public office and steal money, that is white collar crime. And if you investigate very well, you will certainly, come across the evidence that is needed to prove the guilt of the criminal beyond reasonable doubt. And I have no doubt in my mind that Raymond Acha and his team have done under the direction of myself and DAG, the Deputy Attorney General. They've done a fantastic job. There are other white-collar crimes that I will address you on in the next few weeks. Okay? Because as I've said, this country was turned into a crime scene for 8 years, and we are uncovering what crimes were committed. Now, I also want to take this opportunity to tell everyone in public office who's listening to me that if you do what suspect Dubois did, now I will come after you. All right? I will come after you. I'm not going to wait, because I have the authority of Mr. President that if you engage in anything like what Mr. Dubois has done, or any act of criminality, I will not wait. I will come after you. So this is a warning to everyone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless our homeland, Ghana.